So obviously this review of Negima or UQ Holder Negima episode 3 is super late because obviously I've been having problems with my PC once again. On top of that, I just got done watching the UQ Holder OVA episode 0, so I'm going to give you my review on both of those episodes. We got introduced to a very interesting concept with the UQ Holder organization. We got introduced to new characters and we got numbers for each of the characters. Like for instance, you got Gengaro, who's at number 6. You got Amiya, who's at number 10. You got Jinbei, who got introduced to later in the episode, is at number 2. So they could be the norm, but these characters stack up when it comes to the hierarchy in power, scaling in the organization, order of positioning in the organization. So we don't really know. Obviously, Yukihime would be at number 1, so I don't know where Karin would fall in.
And Yukihime said, better learn to get along because in terms of like immortal powers, you two are the strongest. So he's not a part of the organization yet because they still have to take the test, him and Tokisaka both. So that to me implies that rank doesn't really have much to do with how strong you are, even if that's the case, because Yukihime literally stated you two are going to be the strongest immortal powerhouses within the organization. And when it comes to like you two are probably going to be the last survivors in the world once everything's all said and done, which kind of like backs up where I said my theory about there's going to be a future conflict. There has to be now after that. So episode 3 got introduced to the major plot of where the story heads to next, and now it's, I guess, Tota getting introduced to the sword of Kurobo. I guess we're going to get a flashback. It was forged like 10 years ago and only one person was able to wield it before. I'm pretty sure this is towards Negi Springfield was the past wielder. You have like the offspring or the family member or the grandson, in this case the grandson to Negi Springfield is the next successor in line, so it's his destiny to like wield the sword, and he still doesn't have a full control over it because you have the dial and you can change and increase the weight of the blade. That's kind of different, so I kind of appreciated that. Plus I'm only going to assume it has a soul inside with a spell because obviously it can talk. Most weapons can't talk, so that's kind of interesting as well. So we'll probably get a backstory down the line. Negima was the one that actually forged the weapon in the first place, so I'm wondering if he was a mage that actually made I mean, how did magic the blade to like increase or decrease the weight? So I guess there's some magic involved, and I hope we get some backstory on the blade down the road. And I'm pretty sure Negi was the past wielder. That's just my opinion. So obviously Tokisaka and Tota were pretty much, they were put under exam to see if they could actually make it into the UQ Holder organization. So they had him. So Gengaro had to go up against Tokisaka, and Amy was originally supposed to go against Tota, but Karin, because obviously he has a problem with him, she said no, let me do it, and she pretty much speed blitzed him at the first, and just one shots him. That's pretty much KO. I was hoping we get to see more with the mallet, so I'm guessing we will later down the road, especially with that comment of where Yukihime literally stated you two are going to be the strongest members. So I'm only going to assume there's something more to Karin than just the mallet, so we'll see. But that being said, Tokisaka we got a flashback to him actually put up a fight against Gengaro, but what he doesn't have is magic. What he's able to do because of his experience is able to dodge and anticipate all of Tokisaka's attacks, so that didn't work out for him too well, at least in this part of the episode. So we also got introduced to Ashley when Tota kind of asked, do you think it's possible that all members of the UQ Holder organization are immortal? And I kind of asked that question as well in the previous review, and it's revealed no. Gengaro says no, there's a select few that are immortal, but the way it was described is like it's kind of like a video game to certain characters where like you get defeated, but you have like the option to continue and sacrifice a life so you can be reborn or something. So there's certain limitations when it comes to immortality for certain characters. When it comes to like Tota, I don't think there's limitations, or for Tokisaka for that matter, because he was able to use that to his advantage later in the episode. Plus, there's a mention about the Philosopher's Stone, where the introduction of certain beings in the UQ Holder organization is able to harness the Philosopher's Stone as well as research it. So I'm pretty sure that's going to come into effect sometime soon. So, and as well as a mention of certain beasts being a part of the organization as well. So that's kind of cool. Karin's obviously a beast. She one-shots Tota, and he's getting super salty about it because he even tried sneaking up on her. That didn't work. He even thought about sneaking up on her during the hot springs, and even he realizes, yeah, that would have worked anyway. So then we get introduced to actually the maid of the organization, or UQ Holder headquarters, I guess, which is pretty much a Japanese resort, more or less like a Japanese hot springs as well, which makes sense because of Yukihime's influence or her love for Japanese culture, so that makes sense. So we get introduced to Yuki, who's pretty much the maid of the place, and we find out that she has no magic. She's not immortal. She just got hired to do a job, and that's how Tota gets introduced to her. So because she's struggling, obviously Tota tries to help her out here. Him and Tokisaka actually lend a hand by trying to go to a storage room, but what I think is a storage room, they go underground, and that's where the plot of the episode picks up. And because Tota actually realizes there's actually a resemblance with Yuki, where I guess she lives in the countryside much like he did, so I guess there's like a type of bond going on. We'll see how things play itself out. But then we get to the plot of the episode, and I guess where we get to introduce to the number 2 of the UQ Holder organization, and that is Jinbei. By far the most interesting character, because obviously he's drunk up the ass drinking sake. By the way, that sake belongs to Yukihime, so that comes back to bite him at the end of the episode. So, and I guess that's where they run into Kurobo, the sword that was stuck in the stone. So obviously it's a legendary story where you pull the sword out, and as Kurobo pretty much stated, the sword chose the wielder. So I guess we're going to find out who the previous wielder was. I still think it's Negi Springfield. We couldn't find out there's a dial. You can change the weight of the blade, and this is what led me to believe the number of where we got each introductions to certain characters. It may be due to power rankings within the organization, because you literally had Jinbei pick up the blade, turn up the gravity dial or the weight dial to increase the weight. I mean, he was being embedded into the floor, and he was still able to blow a hole through the freaking wall. So that's some monstrous strength. So I'm only going to assume it's at number 2 when it comes to physical capabilities. But sometimes ranking doesn't have everything to do with it, so I'm not too sure. But he's obviously impressive, and even in the OVA, he sent Tota flying into the hot spring. So I thought that was kind of cool. I really want to see what more of these characters can do, especially with Gengaro. So obviously we got the training. Jinbei was like, I'm going to teach you how to use the weapon right, because obviously if you can't wield it, what's the point? So obviously you have to have a certain physical strength level to wield a certain weight level of that blade. So that's why Jinbei said, I'm going to train you till you can get used to it. So they're training below, and Tokisaka's actually training as well. So he gets a power boost too, and he increases his speed, which helps him out a little bit against Gengaro, but I still think he was holding back. He was still able to dodge the attacks, and I mean, Gengaro and Tokisaka was getting wrecked. So it's not even, he's thinking about losing, he's thinking about what would Tota do, and he's thinking about, okay, he would use his immortality, because that's how he managed to defeat Tokisaka, by having his head beheaded and actually end it with a punch to the stomach. So Tokisaka intentionally lost his arm so he can have his detached arm sneak up behind, I guess, Gengaro, and actually stab him in the back. So I thought that was kind of smart. So and it introduces something where you can take your detached body parts, and use that immortality to actually sneak up on your opponent. So I thought that was kind of cool. Tokisaka actually passed because he's able to land a hit. Obviously, we got Tota saying, Karin, I'm going to try and challenge you up front. No sneak attacks this time. He's obviously pretty confident since he's been training with his sword. He increases the weight and comes down on Karin. She's still able to block. And by the way, she's not really struggling with all that. But she is impressed by the way he's able to increase and get used to the weight of the sword. So I thought an insight to a characterization, especially in the OVA. So that was kind of fun as well. That doesn't get resolved because obviously Yuki was being targeted by monsters that were released. The seal was released down below because obviously the wall got broken through with that katana. So in come the monsters to target Yuki. So obviously Tota abandoned his exam and went straight over to help out Yuki. In comes Karin to lend the hand, which I thought was cool. Get Yuki out of harm's way while Karin goes in for the attack on the monsters. There's a group of them, so I don't know how strong these monsters are. I guess not really all that impressive. But Tota manages to get Yuki out of the way. In comes Karin in comes Tota, I guess increases the weight of Kurobo, or the sword. Comes down, the shot wave, the impact wave, blows all the monsters back, including Karin, and much game over for most of the monsters. I'm only going to assume they were the monsters that maybe Gengaro was talking about at the beginning of the episode. I don't really know. There's a lot we don't know, so I can't wait to see what happens next when it comes to the anime at least. And Karin gets up and she's super pissed because she got nailed with a shockwave, and the only thing got damaged was her uniform. So I thought, okay, she's able to withstand the hit. So I'm telling you right now, I think she's going to turn out to be a complete beast. She may seem stuck up and super serious, which I don't mind because we have that in most anime series where you get a character super serious all the time and super badass or super OP. The main protagonist is pretty much happy-go-lucky like Tota is. So that, and you have a rivalry between the two. That makes sense. Although I kind of assume there's a rivalry between Tokisaka as well. Although that's more warm-hearted than anything else. Here comes Yukihime to give praise because obviously now Tota's actually passed as well because he managed to get 8 blow in technically. So he's in the UQ whole organization as well, which because obviously the release the monsters down below, they get sent down to take care of the rest. And Yukihime is pretty much like, yo, kill them all, make sure nobody's left. And boy, Jinbei follows because Yukihime catches on the fact that he's been drinking or swiping the sake of Yukihime, so that's pretty much his ass roasted. So he sent down below to sort this out, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. I'm gonna end this with the OVA because that to me was interesting, and it looks like it jumped like 5 chapters ahead or 5 episodes ahead because we got introduced to Kuromaru, a new female character. Go figure. We got introduced to her, and she has some type of fascination with Tota. We don't really know what. She hasn't been introduced into the anime. Like I said, it's an OVA. That's going to be interesting to see where that plays. And it was mostly to focus on the backstory, or at least partial backstory of Yukihime, aka Kitty, because there's an alternate reality where a version of Tota or a clone of Tota was there, and I guess that's where she experienced the first love. And now, I guess the subject was brought up at the hot springs when Yukihime asked, "How do you really feel about Tota?" And I guess because they look alike, she has an affection towards him. We don't really know. And by the end, she's like, "No, I don't love Tota at all." So I really want to know what her age is because it seems like when she said in the backstory, we got the childlike version of Eva or Kitty in this case, and she made it like out she was a sibling, which we know that that's not the case at all because it was Yukihime's memories anyway. So that makes no sense. I guess we got a clone of Tota that Yukihime fell in love with back in the day, and she won't really admit it. And there's something else too. Tota literally said that the person you fall in love with, it has red hair and he's more cooler than I am. So I'm guessing he was talking about Negi. I don't really know if she fell in love with Negi, but that being said, it's kind of cool to see stuff when it comes to the backstory of Yukihime. Got made immortal and her homeland got desecrated, so she wanted to die. She wanted to be killed and she got taken in by a witch. It kind of remind me of Avida from One Piece, at least a little bit to the heavy extent. But she obviously has badass magic, and to a point where even Yukihime couldn't even land a blow. She wanted to try and be strong enough to actually land a hit, and she couldn't do it. So, and by the way, Tota or the clone of Tota was taken in by her as well. So that's how they come to get introduced to one another. Tota obviously has some type of feelings towards it, at least the clone does. So it's weird because Tota says he confesses his love in present time, and then that's where it shifts over to the flashback. So he says the exact same thing. Evangeline's she still wanted to be killed by Tota, by the way, and I guess we get the interaction between the two to a point where she's kind of like talking to Tota like, oh, how do you know Yukihime? And it's like she's trying to make it out that she's a sibling, but we all know that's her in the flesh, literally. And I guess it took place 500 years ago. Like that, hopefully we'll get more interaction. What happened with Yukihime back before she met Tota? So because it's obviously something went down because now she has a bounty on her head. But made them all. We know that from the original Negima. I guess we saw her parents for the first time ever. So I really want to know what happened to them. They got decimated. Obviously, she got turned into a mortal vampire. We'll find out what happens later down the road. But it's pretty much ending where we'll try and meet again, which may serve as some type of foreshadowing. The thing about this OVA, I don't know if it's canon or not. I'm only going to suggest that it is. We'll see down the road, and there's a statement made, like I said, by Yukihime, like we'll meet again down the road. So I'm guessing the next time they meet, we'll on top of the orbital elevator. That's just my opinion. But I really enjoyed the OVA. I really enjoyed the episode. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Like this review if you did appreciate that. Comment down with the thoughts, what you thought about the OVA and the episode. Subscribe to the channel. Catch you guys later. Bye.